Welcome to the Top 10 Garden Show with Ken Lain. Listen to Ken's tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts guaranteed to make your gardens more beautiful than ever this year. Now, welcome your host, Ken Lain.
Now, I have to back up just a little bit in that I've always said there's basically 6 seasons, really 7. So if you think about the season, so what we have is early spring. So I call that in the mountains of Arizona, March and April. It's bright, it's sunny, things are going, the daffodils are blooming, the forsythia are going, but it's still frosty. Spring season actually starts in May through June. Really May, we're past the frost season. So it's warm during the day and it's not freezing. So that's like you can plant your tomatoes, you put everything in then, your zinnias, your cosmos, they're all going in then. Then we have a defined season I call perennial season, which is June. June, you start to see the perennials come in bloom. Before June, some will come in bloom, but basically they're green blobs in a bucket. They're hard to be inspired by. I mean, I know Shasta daisies are spectacular, hip high plants with covered in white flowers, but in March and April, they're just green plants in a bucket. You got to read the tags real closely to see what the color is. In June, they're all in bloom. Then you get into summer. Summer, this is crepe myrtle, roses Sharon season, roses all come in July and August. Then we go into fall, September, October, and then holiday or evergreen winter season. Those are all the seasons. Well, I know I said that June was perennial month, but I got to tell you, through June through really it's the first middle of September, really end of September, if you include mums and that kind of really, mums will be in bloom, asters are in bloom until first hard frost, sometime in the middle to end of October. And so that's your real perennial season. But what happens is they all start going into bloom in June. And then they just get bigger and more robust, just larger. The perennial varieties are more finished. The flower sizes are larger. The showiest perennials of the year are now through autumn. And so this is when you're seeing the Mexican hats, the real big, bright orange, the sunflowers, the different varieties, the Rudbeckias, the Echinaceas. These are all plants that just have great, some of the plants, the flowers are literally as big as your hand. At the very least, they're as big as a child's hand. That's what you're finding at garden centers right now. And you don't find these varieties earlier on. They really start to come into their own this time of year through autumn, really through the mums and aster season in October. And so the mums they're not quite ready yet. I know people are starting to ask for them, but they're patience. Hold on, they'll be here at the end of the month. The true gardeners, they're wanting to know where their fall vegetables are. Hold on, they're almost there. They'll be here shortly. Middle of the month, they'll be here. That's your spinach and lettuce and broccoli and cauliflower, all the leafier kind of things that you plant now and harvest through the end of the year. So there's a whole series of plants that are literally designed and planted now through October. And that's what they are. So it's a great time to plant perennials. Now remember, perennial and permanent both start with P. So you plant them once and they come back year after year after year. An annual flower, those are plants that are fantastic. Oh my gosh, nothing blooms. They have more flowers and foliage, but then they flame out in the winter. So they only live for 1 year annually, just 1 year. Perennial and permanent are they come back year after year. What I'll do is I'll keep my perennials, I'll keep them deadheaded through, encourage them to rebloom. I'll pinch off the dead flower, fertilize them, and they will come right back into bloom. I'll do that through September, really. And then in October, because I'm a bird gardener, I love wooing the birds to nest and roost and hang out in my gardens. I just love them. Now, I don't feed them. They just have an environment that they are so comfortable in. They're almost a nuisance because they go eat at your bird feeder and then they come and hang out in my gardens because I've got water and cover and flowers for them. So starting in October, I'll let all of my flowers start to go to seed because I'm trying to keep that as a food source for my smaller birds that I'm going to find through winter. And so your echinaceas, I'll just let them go right into seed. If you pick an echinacea or coneflower, if you pick that flower off, it'll set another flower just almost immediately, right? Just like that. So I've been deadheading or pinching the flowers off all season, fertilizing. They just rotate through. They're amazing plants. But starting at the end of September, 1st of October, I let them purposely go to seed, and I keep that. Just let them, they get that straw color by the middle of November or so. And then I just keep them up there. I just let them go. And the birds come in and just use them as a food source through winter. And so we're on the migration pattern because the water source of the Verde, the different lakes we have here in the Prescott area, birds are using us migrating from north to south. So you'll see a huge variety of birds throughout your gardens if you just landscape for them. If you encourage them, they're going to need some big trees to roost in. They need some evergreens to get out of the cold. They need some flower things to food. They need some herbs and some vines. They need a mixture of things. And if you like birds, come see me and I'll help you grow bigger flowers. But you're seeing some really impressive ones. Another one that's coming up pretty quick that I like for my birds, it's called autumn sedum or autumn joy sedum. Comes in a couple colors. Green is what your grandparents grew, and it's got a bright pink flower in the fall. There's some new varieties with this mocha kind of chocolatey purple looking color to it with pink flowers. It's quite striking. It's not for every landscape, those dark, rich Gothic colors. Those aren't for every garden space, but when you do find a home for them, those darker, richer foliage plants are quite striking. And the flowers coming off of those are just impressive. And so that's, you can look at that one. Autumn joy. See, what I find is my smaller birds love not the flower. They like the foliage. They use that foliage for water, for moisture, probably for protein, some for carbs. I don't know. They love my, they really, really like my sunflowers. Believable sunflower. They don't like the flower so much. It's real pretty. It's covered in sunflowers about the size of, I don't know, great gigantic golf balls, bigger than that, like not a softball, maybe a baseball size flower, just a smaller than that, covered in dozens of sunflowers. But these flack little tiny finches come flying up there, woo, peck around. They're just antics, and they're pecking away at the foliage. If you look real close, you can see, oh, they kind of pecked it away. No, it's not as pretty as it could be. But if you take one step back, the flowers are so striking, you don't notice the foliage. And I like the birds. If that makes them happy, I'm happy too. So I just let them go with that. I've noticed the hummingbirds. The little babies have launched. They're out buzzing around the yard. They're buzzing around the garden center. Actually, what's funny is we'll get a load of flowers that come in every week, almost every day. We get plants coming in. But when they're blooming, they come right off the truck. It's like they're waiting. The doors of the truck go up. We bring them out, put them on on a big old flatbed cart to bring them into stock. They'll literally follow us, if not be active on the plant while we're taking them to display them on end caps and stuff. It's just fun. I love going to work. Been doing this for 32 years now. I still get a kick out of going to work. I'm like, this is just a fun place to be. It's physical, so I don't need my workout membership anymore. This is it. It's called Waters Garden Center, but it keeps you fit. I think the most steps I counted this spring, I had one day, a couple days, maybe 3 or 4 days, 27,000 steps one day. Just because we had customers in the front, we're helping customers in the middle, we got a truck unloading in the back, we're going back and forth, and the entire team is doing that. You are tired at the end of the day, but you know what? You feel invigorated, you're inspired, you're helping customers, gardeners have better plants in their yard. It's made within the DNA of our team here at Waters. They just love helping people with their garden things. And so to log a few miles, 27,000, I don't know how many miles that is, but it's miles, kind of go, you know what? The day went fast and it was fun. I got to hang out with really cool people called gardeners. I don't know how I went down that rabbit trail, but anyway, flowers. Oh, they only get bigger and bigger and bigger as the season goes. And then they kind of end with a crescendo of the garden mums and the garden asters and the phlox and that kind of stuff. All right, we'll be back with more garden tips, tricks, and advice after this. Hi, Ken at Waters with our Monster Monsoon Sale, our only sale of the year.
Truckloads of fresh autumn maple, aspen, and spruce have just arrived, and we need room, so summer plants must go.
Perennials, trees, shrubs, even pottery must go, and it's worth your while with plant sales at 25, 45, even 65% off.
It's Waters' only sale of the year at Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
Where people who love great plants at sale prices, they love to shop.
You're listening to garden expert Ken Lain. He can be found throughout the week at Waters Garden Center in Prescott. Thanks for tuning in to the Top 10 Garden Show.